So innovative solutions on economic growth at the World Economic Forum 2023 have included the digitisation of the banking sector. This came in the form of regulating new trends and technologies in the sector. As you now know, our business anchor Tumisang Ndlovu is in Davos for us, and she joins us once again this morning. Tumisang, we've all heard these phrases, haven't we? Cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, they're among the current trends. What has the South African Reserve Bank said about its stance?
Absolutely a fascinating one, because we don't often hear from the South African Reserve Bank, Michelle, in this regard, and that's solely because the SARB is taking its time. The Reserve Bank Governor, Lesetja Kganyago, told delegates here at WEF 2023 that indeed that is the way to go in terms of the trends and the digitization of the banking system, as well as adopting the current movements within the banking sector when it comes to cryptocurrency and blockchain. But we do know that we are still a long way from the regularization of blockchain as well as cryptocurrency, especially because currently in the global banking landscape there have been quite a lot of irregularities. But let's hear it from the Reserve Bank Governor as he spoke right here at Davos, talking about how currency development as well as progress is going to be filtered into this aspect.
The challenge here was that these are multi-currencies, and the question is, do you find one currency with which you settled with? Which one is that? The default was that could we be using the dollar? And then the question was, who's going to supply dollar liquidity in the RTGS? The Fed is not there, so who's going to get the dollar? And the default was that, well, we have got to be settling in our own currencies. But then there are countries that are dollarized, which then faced a different problem.
Tumisang, so what else has come from the banking sector at the World Economic Forum?
We've heard from the likes of Standard Bank as well as Old Mutual, which features in the banking and insurance side of this industry. What is prominent is that there's optimism of a resilient banking industry in South Africa in line with the global economic challenges that are taking place currently. But that positivity stemming from the banking client itself being quite cautious and also spending at a rate that is not particularly too excessive, but the banking sector basically telling central banks across the globe that monetary policy tightening is becoming a bit of an issue. How that is going to be deliberated going forward, or rather an implementation side of things, is going to be one that we keep our eye on, because we've just started seeing that the U.S. Federal Reserve has started hiking rates at a lower pace than the aggressiveness that we saw at the height of high inflation in the world economy. And the South African Central Bank still has meetings that they are going to hold. They have 4 within this year, and the first one being towards the end of January, and that's when we'll hear whether they are going to hike rates at a more moderate or aggressive rate to temper inflation. But let's hear first from ABSA's Nonkululeko Nyembezi-Hayter, who speaks of that positivity within the banking sector as a sentiment, explaining really what it is that they are anticipating as a near-term outlook.
I think that we are on the way. The direction, at least from what I hear in the room and what I see, is correct. What for me starts to become a little bit optimistic about this time is African governments have come to a point of the absolute limit of their capacity to do stuff. You know, they do not have the means. They have to tackle debt as a matter of urgency. Inflation is a matter of urgency. In a scenario like that, it therefore opens the window, small window, for a private sector-led economic growth path. And I honestly cannot see how we accelerate African growth without that.
The Standard Bank chair there speaking on the stage of the World Economic Forum, and Tumisang Ndlovu live to us from Davos for the last day of WEF 2023. Tumisang, thanks very much indeed.